Our presentation focuses on the position of dominatrixes within a broader context of sex and gender dynamics. It is intended to be educational in nature and serve to destigmatize and eliminate mysteries and confusions around this type of work. We argue that dominatrixes exist in a nebulous space within sex work, better categorized as erotic labor, mainly because they manufacture atypical versions of emotional labor and gender roles. Dominatrixes fulfill the role of a dominant female in a BDSM relationship. We will be speaking about pro-doms, who are paid to act in this role and create an experience of physical and verbal humiliation.
Other relevant terms include sadism, which is the tendency to derive pleasure from inflicting physical or psychological pain, and masochism, which is the tendency to receive pleasure from experiencing such pain. When practiced together, the two are referred to as sadomasochism, or S&M. DS is also an important term which stands for dominance and submission. Professional dominatrices are typically referred to as pro-doms and sometimes as dominas or mistresses. They are not prostitutes, nor do they consider themselves to be sex workers, preferring the term erotic laborer, if anything. Those who employ pro-doms are referred to as clients, submissives, subs, or slaves. These relationships are played out in dungeons, play spaces, houses of pain, or just simply houses. Though real dominatrix work remains taboo in mainstream society, its symbolic imagery permeates the media, including references in fashion and television.
To exhibit the range of services dominatrixes provide, here is a video of an interviewer exploring the services offered by an Australian pro-dom.
The person sits on that. Yeah? So these are... Just get some rope. Put your arm out. It's a sort of pinwheel. Württemberg wheel's the real name.
How hard can you do that with somebody?
When do you start crying?
Keep going.
A little bit like on the end of your cock, though, it would make you cry. Right on
that's enough.
Or the end of your nipple type of thing. How about these clover clamps?
On your nipples?
Yeah, on your nipples. Oh, come on. Here we go. Get all that hair out of the way. There's some poison here, you know. Oh, great again. Look at those. Oh, this is my dog cage.
Does someone go in there?
Yeah, it's the boys going in. Lock them in. Just like that. Make them drink out of the bowl. Fetch the toys. Motion. And then if they're into toys, I'll try a toy, normally starting with one of my smallest, which is usually this big. On that. Give them it for a present, but I don't actually use it because that's not my kind of thing.
So it goes around here?
Yeah. There you go. And then, yeah, you want me to strap you in so you can have it on TV? Here we go. That's one. Yeah. Like that. And then...
In Danielle Lindemann's 2007-2008 study of 66 pro-doms in New York City and San Francisco, Lindemann found that the majority were white, bisexual, female, in their mid-30s, with a high level of education.
Though many would think the men who enlist these atypical services would be sexual and social deviants, pro-doms claim most of their clients are stereotypically normal men. Melissa Fabos, author of a famous memoir of her time as a dominatrix, claimed she catered to mostly married fathers. Also, dom services require significant wealth. Many pro-doms also cite Wall Street as a main sending source. Fabos adds a salient comment on the integration of these sessions into clients' lives. Getting peed on, spanked, sodomized, or diapered was less often a delicacy than a basic provision to these men. And while the need for it was compulsive, it was also routine. It did not require an atmosphere of nighttime intoxication or great fanfare.
Pro-doms walk a legal gray line. Their work is not classified as prostitution, as acts that are legally defined as sex often do not occur. However, there is an exchange of money. Laws regulating torture can also come into play. Official legality depends on the specific locations, often differing even between neighboring states. The inconsistencies across states highlight the ambiguous nature of sex and the futility of attempting to define sex. Is sex only dependent upon penetration of genitalia? This question is not easily answered, and mainstream opinions are often heterosexist and closed-minded. Therefore, pro-dom work, which can often involve anal penetration, slips past legal definitions of sex. Regardless of legality, pro-doms work diligently to create a safe, private space for themselves and their clients, stressing confidentiality, security, and consent.
To fully understand the roles and complications of dominatrixes' careers as they relate to sex work and feminism as a whole, it's essential to consider their enactments and challenging of gender roles. Although their activities are subversive in many ways, pro-doms also reproduce relationships of hierarchy and illuminate them. Pro-dom work follows typical narratives of sex work in a few ways, including its majority female workforce and the classic role plays like sadistic nurses. However, pro-doms always take a dominant role, though the manifestations can be varied, which is a reversal of typical gender roles, particularly in sex. This is a purposeful change and is often accompanied by the feminization of the male client through cross-dressing, cleaning, or verbal slurs. In this way, his feminization adds to the erotic humiliation. Though gender roles are flipped, pro-dom work reinforces associations of femininity with weakness and embarrassment. Bounded authenticity is a term frequently used to describe worker-client relations in sex work. It is related to concepts of the girlfriend experience we have discussed in class that emphasize an authentic feeling, yet temporally limited intimacy. These types of emotional labor enacted in pro-dom work are often considered to be polar to those used in other types of erotic labor. It is also essential that dom be personable and trustworthy when discussing kinks and desires with clients. Considering the shame many of these acts elicit in mainstream society, she has the responsibility of making men feel comfortable in their erotic expression. Additionally, Fabos points out that she felt the obligation of fulfilling others' fantasies without any personal sexual satisfactions. This was also emotional labor.
In conclusion, we believe pro-doming should be considered a type of erotic labor, yet support its contextualization in the broad realm of sex work. Though enactments of gender roles and emotional labor seem atypical or even subversive, it is important to consider the associated complications.